Hey guys, this is Heather. So today we're gonna make a holiday side dish with Brussels sprouts. Everybody's favorite vegetable, right? I know it's not. I actually never really had Brussels sprouts when I was little, and I've never had bad Brussels sprouts, but I know exactly what will happen because Brussels sprouts, as you can see, are like tiny little cabbages. And they are part of the cabbage family, which is the cruciferous vegetable family. They are loaded with anti-cancer compounds, which makes them a fantastic addition to a holiday meal. But if you overcook Brussels sprouts, particularly if you overcook them by boiling or steaming, it accentuates the sulfur compounds that are in here. It's the same thing if you overcook broccoli or cauliflower or cabbage. It brings out those sulfur compounds and makes it taste bitter and just not very good. Also makes for some stinky gas. Now, I know a lot of people pair Brussels sprouts with cheese to overcome that bitterness, give them some creaminess and some savory. So we can do that in a vegan way by pairing it with butternut squash for the creaminess. And we're also going to put lots of delicious seasonings and some savory flavors to make these Brussels sprouts absolutely delicious. Now we're going to do the squash first, and I've cut this up into roughly small squares. We're going to do the squash first because it takes longer to cook. We're going to get this started cooking while we prep the Brussels sprouts so that we can maximize our prep time. So to this squash, I am going to drizzle some extra virgin olive oil. Just a touch. You can actually use a spoon to measure out to make sure that it doesn't get to be too much, because you really need very, very little. And some sea salt. Just sprinkle some on top. It's a new jar, so it's not working too well. Anyway, just a little bit, and then get your hands in on the action, and we're just going to toss this together. This is how you use as little oil as possible, by tossing it with your hands. You just want to make sure that all of the bits of squash are coated. Now, if you don't want to use oil, what I would recommend, because we are going to either bake this in the oven or saute it for faster prep. So if you don't want to use oil, what I would recommend is steaming this a little bit first to make sure it softens up before putting it in the oven, or water saute it, or use some veggie broth if you're doing it in a pan. So then you can either put the squash in a baking dish and put it in the oven, or you can put it in a pan on the stove at medium-high heat. The baking will take longer, so as holiday meals are often pressed for time, I'm going to show you the version on the stove, which is a lot quicker. While the squash is cooking, you can then get your Brussels sprouts ready. So what I'm going to do is cut the end off, because you can see that that's a little bit dried out. So if I just slice that off, then you can see it's nice and fresh inside. And then all you're going to do is slice this in half. And inside you can see the little mini cabbageness. Every so often, give your squash a stir, and when it gets really sizzling, you can turn it down to medium. Sometimes if your sprout's looking a little rough, you want to just take the outer leaves off, because those bits will be more bitter. So this squash is getting soft. You probably can't see it on the video, but I can see it in person. It's starting to brown on some of the sides. So this is doing really nicely. And so it's perfect timing, as I've finished cutting up my sprouts, to season them and get them in there as well. And we're going to do the exact same thing here. Just get a little bit of olive oil, drizzle it over them. A little bit of sea salt, and then get your hands in here and get them nicely coated and seasoned. So you're going to either add the sprouts to the baking dish or to the pan that we're using here. And then you can just merge them together into one beautiful orange-green combo. Now for those of you who really hate Brussels sprouts, I said that they're the same family as broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, also kale. So if any of those things is more appealing to you than Brussels sprouts, feel free. You'll get the same nutritional benefits, or at least very similar, and you don't have to worry about your innate hatred of this poor vegetable. Now that we've got both of these together, we can also add some seasoning. I'm going to do some dried thyme. And what I like to do is put it in my hand and then squeeze it between my fingers as I sprinkle it in there to help release the flavor of the thyme. So this is dried. You can use fresh as well. And I also have some ground thyme, so I'm going to do a little bit of that as well so that it gets more infused into the dish than just the dried leaves. And then stir it all up. You can decide if you want to use more or less thyme depending on how much flavor you like. If you don't like thyme, this is lovely also with sage. I personally don't like sage, so I prefer thyme. Or you could use dried basil, dried oregano, any kind of herb that you enjoy. While that cooks on the back burner, I'm heating up a small dry pan here, and as soon as I flick water and it bounces around like that, then it's ready. And I'm going to just very lightly toast some sliced almonds that are going to go into this dish. Now because this pan is quite hot, you want to keep these almonds moving. You can either use a utensil or you can just flick them around and just keep them moving. And you want to keep a very close eye on these because as soon as they start to brown, they're going to burn very quickly thereafter. Oh, why am I doing this? Well, because it brings out the flavor of the almonds. And if you don't want to use almonds, if you don't have almonds, you can use anything else. I think sesame seeds would be lovely, or some pecans, something like that. And they're just starting to brown now, so they'll only take another few seconds. And they're done. I want to get those off the heat as soon as possible. And since this pan is still hot, I'm just going to toss these in here. There are other vegetables and there's oil to help diffuse the heat, so they'll be fine. If you want them to cook faster, you can seal the heat in by putting a lid over top. I don't have one big enough for this pan, but you can kind of move them into the middle, and then it's more like they're roasting in a pan. Last bit of seasoning, I'm going to take this lemon. It looks like an orange, I know, but it's a lemon. I'm going to take the zest off. I'm going to put it in this bowl for now so that I can put this on at the very last minute. See? Lemon. It's got a ton of seeds in it, so I'm going to actually use my lemon juicer. Okay, this is looking exciting. Squash is looking soft. Brussels sprouts are looking soft but not overdone. If you are getting impatient, another thing you can do is add a little bit of water and put that lid back on so that it essentially steams things a little bit to soften them up. But that looks done. You can take a taste to make sure, and then what we're going to do is add the lemon juice and zest. And yes, it does sizzle quite a bit, which makes it exciting. Then to get the savory flavor, we're going to add some nutritional yeast, and you can put in however much you want. Those of you who like really cheesy ones, put in a lot. Those of you who don't mind so much and like it more fresh, don't put in so much. You can also add more salt and some black pepper if you like. Stir this through and then give it one final taste. This is gonna be hot. Now, if you're big on savory, then you might want to leave out the lemon. I love it because it makes it taste fresh and light and tangy. But if you don't want that, then just leave it out. And you might want to add some chopped black olives to boost that savory content of this dish. However you make it, I hope you enjoy it. Leave me a thumbs up if you like the recipe. Leave me a comment down below if you have any questions. This recipe actually came from my healthy vegan holiday menu, which you can find more info about at a link down below the video. And this will be a little bit of a break for me over Christmas, so you won't hear from me for a little bit. But if you subscribe to my channel, you will get notified as soon as I post again, which should be at the end of this month, just before New Year's. And after that, if you subscribe, you'll get my new videos every week sharing vegan recipes, nutrition tips, and inspiration. All right, hope you guys have a wonderful, warm, delicious holiday, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.